The New York Post has confirmed that Stephen A. Smith and ESPN are close to an agreement on a contract extension, and not just a little contract extension, a big-o contract extension, the kind of contract extension that moves you uptown to the big penthouse in the sky. That's what's going to happen here, according to the New York Post. First report, of course, by Vanity. The ESPNer Smith has bitch, whined, and moaned that he wasn't being paid as much as Pat McAfee. Now, ESPN, under the fear of being labeled racist, remember I told you Building 4 is where it all goes down on the campus of ESPN and Building 4, where there are a few DEI hires, but on those tall at the top of the building is mostly Mr. and Mrs. White folks. And Mr. and Mrs. White folks are scared, as my daughter used to say. Daddy, I'm scared. No, you're afraid, and let me sit here and make you unafraid. That's what daddies do. Side note, they don't take their 2-year-olds for gender transition or gender affirming, you idiots. That's a side note. Anyway, having said that, Stephen A. Smith has always used right over the head like a mistletoe with ugly women. He has used race. That's right. He has used race as a way to pry, twist, and get what he wants to get in the fashion of the old Reverend Al Sharpton, of course, the legend of all legends, Jesse Jackson. I will hold race over you. You are paying Mr. White folks himself. Pat McAfee, lots of cabbage. I don't like it. He's coming late. He hasn't been here, hasn't helped build it. Well, Stephen A. Smith apparently is going to get his, as ESPN's parent company will have a first-look deal associated with Smith's production company, Mr. Sass Production. We got to have a production company. You know, if you're a woman with a big fat ass, you got to have a clothing line. You do. Have you seen my line? We're going to have a fashion show for my line. Yes, I, too, watch Real Housewives of whatever the hell it is, mostly New York and New Jersey. They're more fashionistas, as New York claims to be the fashion capital of the United States and maybe, just maybe, the world. Andrew Marchand of The Athletic reported the deal. Listen to this deal. This is a good one, which has not yet been finalized. Is around 6 years, $120 million. Good for Sass. Yo, Gary, how about a little something for the effort here, baby? Yo, Aaron, 6 years, 120. I'll go 3 for 60. That sounds about right. That's the deal they reported. 6 years, $120 million. That's big coin. Here's my quote. Oh, Stephen A. Smith is getting sassy. He's going to get sassy here. Listen to this. Here's my quote. I was born at night, not last night. Oh, that is clever. My God, that alone is worth 6 for 120. Never heard that one before. Oh, man. Let's see. I was born at night, last night. I don't talk about my contract negotiating. Yeah, you do. Oh, you've bitched, whined, and moaned about McAfee. You've had things leak. What are you talking about? Hey, just talk about never have, never will. That's what Smith told The Athletic after saying it was false that the deal was close. Here's what I would do were I ESPN, NNN. I truly wonder, does Smith really make them any money? See, I've always said things like this. I've always said this. If you want to coach at Indiana and you're Archie Miller at Dayton, I'm the athletic director at Indiana. Here's what I'm doing. You're making $800,000. We're going to give you $1.1 million. You want to coach in Indiana or you want to keep coaching Dayton? Up to you. Mike Woodson, you're an assistant coach with the Knicks. You're making whatever. We're going to pay you $1.1 million to live in Bloomington where, you can still get a dime pop from the store. Same thing with Sass. Where's he going? You think his production company would be anything interesting, or do you think it actually is anything interesting right now, even with the backing of ESPN and NNC? A lot of people get laid off because bad management decisions. There's no reason to pay Stephen A. Smith $20 million, none whatsoever. You don't want to do the show? Okay, we'll get somebody else to do the show. I mean, he's a trailblazer in that yelling and screaming and acting tough as a skinny broadcaster is now in vogue. But the truth of the matter is, you can find somebody else tomorrow. It may take a minute or two. What does he really offer to the games that are played? When he's on the set, the show stinks. On his own set, I guess it's good. I guess it makes some money. But see, this is where management is dumb. Wait a second. You didn't sign me to 6 years, to $120 million. Y'all are racist. And then he's going to go to his friends in the media and say ESPN is racist. And ESPN is going to say nothing but keep trotting out African Americans on their television. I mean, it's simple. Is Stephen A. Smith worth $120 million? I would think not. But you know what? Good for Smith. I mean, hey, the difference between him and McAfee was this. McAfee didn't need ESPN. McAfee was doing just fine. In fact, to go to ESPN, McAfee, I believe this is the right number. In fact, I know this is the right number, basically gave back a deal that when signed was for around $150 million with FanDuel. Now, I'm going to say that again. See, McAfee didn't need ESPN. ESPN felt the need for McAfee. They saw what was going on. They saw that game day was dull. I told you game day was dull before McAfee joined. I mean, hey, look, it's why I don't do overreaction shows. I tell you ahead of time. Damn, it's what I do. I tell you beforehand, ahead of time. I prognosticate, not react after. So McAfee then joins, pisses Smith off. Smith and his little ego. Let me ask you a question. Have you seen Smith on McAfee's show? Huh? Have you seen McAfee on Smith's show? Huh? You know, a while back, I got it right here in my phone from Pat. Pat knows he's the enemy of talent at ESPN. He knows that. There's no question, right? Smith called it bullshit. Really? When's the last time Smith has been on McAfee's show? I mean, Smith goes on every show. Well, McAfee is on after Smith, meaning it's a perfect fit. Smith could go on his, McAfee can go on his, but they don't. Wonder why. Interesting question. Why did McAfee put out that he needed NBA help? Don't know the answer to that other than McAfee is the enemy of the talent, particularly the African-American talent at ESPN. Smith, though, has been candid about wanting to be the highest paid talent at ESPN after the network signed deals with Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Pat McAfee that had leapfrogged him, white guys all. In June, the Puck's John Orred reported that ESPN initially offered Smith $18 million a year and that he was seeking $25 million annually. Well, let's review. I will tell you this. I used to say that announcers at games didn't matter. In fact, I would say that ESPN, again, mismanaged it. Buck and Aikman are fine, but so was Levy or whoever was doing it. They had a good setup. It didn't really matter. Booger McFarland was fine. If you want to get annoyed and you want to turn a game off, listen to college basketball announcers. Swear to God, they won't shut up. Yesterday, my son coaches at Illinois State. It was Illinois State at Belmont, and whoever was doing the game literally did not shut up. I had to mute it until my wife got upset that I was eating popcorn and she could hear it, and it was driving her bat blank crazy, so then I had to turn it back up. My point is, announcers really don't impact the game. The game is the thing. And when the great Barry Sachs and Dan Steer were running ESPN, they would call you and tell you to shut up. Hey, yo, shut up. You're talking too much. Shut up. We need more of that. My point is, Buck and Aikman overpaid. McAfee not overpaid. Buck and Aikman could have stayed in their job. That's great. ESPN, if this was solely a financial deal, could have kept whoever they had on Monday Night Football, and it had been fine. Aikman and Buck haven't elevated Monday Night Football. They've been good. They're a good team. But the money they're making, they should be a great team. The people that I mentioned, McAfee's great. He has completely changed the dynamic of College Game Day. He has. Don't argue with me. You'd be stupid. I don't know whether his show makes them money. I have no idea. I know this. They needed McAfee. I know this. ESPN doesn't need Smith. They could trot out, if Smith wants to go race, a bazillion African Americans that they're currently putting on TV. I don't know. It's going to be fun to watch. I'd give the money, and I don't blame Stephen A. Smith in the slightest. Not even a skosh do I blame Stephen A. Smith. He's doing exactly what he should be doing, particularly at this point in his life. I mean, this is a guy that was so bad every single time he did anything that he got fired from every job. And then post George Floyd, he is now a thing. So good for him. Take advantage. Tom Brady riding high. Tom Brady, famously, the Michigan man. Tom Brady is really riding high after the Michigan Wolverines went into the shoe. Man, this game that had absolutely no meaning other than maybe a home field advantage just makes all these dudes insane. Listen to this. He went in, Michigan did, to the horseshoe against all odds and down their bitter rival, Ohio State. Apparently the win wasn't enough, though, as a legendary quarterback is now putting the focus on Ryan Day's questionable coaching as he labeled Ohio State a 7-on-17. Let's hear it.
I think a lot of it is you define the type of player that you want, and you define the type of team you want to build, and then you find players that have those skill sets physically and those values kind of mentally, emotionally. Michigan is a very tough, hard-nosed team. They run the ball very well. They haven't been great throwing the ball, but if I looked at Ohio State's strengths and weaknesses, they have a great 7-on-7 team. They got guys they can throw the ball to. In the second half, they don't even target their best players. So to me, it's like I may as well have been out there playing receiver for Ohio State. I can't run. I couldn't catch. But it doesn't matter if you don't throw me the ball, just like they didn't throw a lot of their best players the ball in the second half of that game. So whenever we got to big games, let's say the Super Bowl, you'd say there's 70 plays left in the game. In our season, the entire 6 months of work, 7 months of work is going to come down to 70 plays. What do we want those 70 plays to look like? And then you reverse engineer it. And you say, okay, we're going to want 40 passes and 30 runs. Well, what 40 passes do we want? We could design 150 of them if you want. Now, there's 110 of those that won't get called. So why don't we just dial it down and dial it back to only the specific ones where our best players are going to touch the ball, doing the best things that they do. And we're going to go out like that. If we lose, we lose. If we win, great. But we're not going to lose doing things that we don't do well. And I think the Coach Belichick would always say, coaches lose games and players win games. Yeah. And he didn't mean to say that coaches are not valuable. Coaches need to put their players in a position to win.
Man, one football game between Ohio State. You know what I mean? Damn. And Tom Brady is now pontificating, and their coach is great at 6-5. Okay. This is me. This isn't you, and I don't want it to be you. You know what I mean? I don't understand why we got to keep listening. Look, I don't think people understand why they got to keep listening to me. You know what I mean? I don't think so. People are like, well, why we got to listen to him? But damn, I'm getting tired of Brady. Nah, I am. He's much better than Olsen, and I'm glad he's there. But you know what? I don't know what to tell you. What I do tell you is simply this. What I'm going to tell you is this. Ohio State lost. Michigan won. Damn. How deep it? Coaches got to put their players in position to win. Blah, 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 blah. Ohio State makes a couple kicks, they win the game. Now that's position to win. Sometimes players just don't make plays. Sometimes a good kicker misses. Sometimes a good tackler doesn't tackle a guy. Honest to God. And with Ohio State and Michigan, it's all this philosophical bullshit. Hey, Brady going on and on. A kicker makes a kick, it's a tie game. Kicker makes 2 kicks, Ohio State wins. What are you talking about? It was a hard play, but nobody, guys like won 90% of his games. 90%. Honest to God. 90%. Honest to God. You win 9, but he doesn't put his team in a position to win because his kicker missed a couple kicks and guys missed a tackle on 3rd and 6. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm calling a little bit of BS-ish on this. I like Jay Crawford. If you remember, Jay Crawford was the guy. He was the guy at ESPN for a while. He was kind of the original host of those arguing shows. Jay is now a news anchor for WKYC in Cleveland, his hometown. He's a former Bowling Green guy, and I always liked him. I do. He's floating the notion that Urban Meyer would return to Ohio State to coach the Buckeyes, and that he never wanted to leave in the first place. Rather, he was pushed out. Well, let me address that. Gene Smith absolutely screwed Urban Meyer. Gene Smith, when Urban Meyer was going through all this crap about his wide receivers and his wide receiver's wife, went on vacation. Urban Meyer and his wife had to sit in a room for 8 hours because this idiot president named Drake made them and were dishonest and were worried about covering their own ass. That's what happened. So, at the end of the day, Smith is gone. Drake is gone. Now you got a chance. Would Urban Meyer go back? I simply have no idea. I texted him the other day because I saw the alpha male had put out the Chicago Bears and the freaking Ohio State Buckeyes are deciding between Urban Meyer. I sent it to him. I said, yo, let's go. I'm in. He didn't respond. I don't know. Maybe he's working on a deal. I don't know. What I think, did Urban get pushed out? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he did. Well, he got pushed out by himself because he didn't want to work for idiots. And I don't blame him. And they screwed him like all presidents of universities are doing. They will always do. Not a little, always. Anyway, Jay Crawford is saying, yo, I've talked to two people who kind of sort of maybe know, and Urban wants to come back. Of the three people that I talked to, two of them with some degree of certainty. This is pretty funny. Now, this is really funny. Hey, I talked to three guys. A couple had some degree of certainty. Others, I don't know. Anyway, of the three people I talked to, two of them with some degree of certainty said, yeah, you'd come back. Yeah, they would ask him because those are the questions I asked. Urban never wanted to leave Ohio State. The people that were closest to him and know him well know that he did not want to leave Ohio State. His hand was forced because the administration at the time did not like how powerful Urban had become at the university. So there was a real power struggle. Note that the two main players that forced Urban out, and that's what it was, are gone. He's right about that. No, he's absolutely right about that. No question about it. He's 100% right. The guys that did and did force Urban out and were too chicken shit, Gene Smith, who we're all supposed to call a legend, he went on vacation, as I said. And the other guy was scared, didn't know how to handle it, a guy named Drake. Our full focus right now is on college football playoff and making a strong run. This is the athletic director, who, by the way, allegedly, I don't know this to be fact, allegedly his first call when Jimbo Fisher was out at Texas A&M was to Urban Meyer. Our full focus right now is on the college football playoff, making a strong run. We have a ton to play for. We have a great team made up of talented players, great young men. Coach Day does a great job leading our program. He's our coach. That's right. We throw a little caveat in there. Urban Meyer's son-in-law got fired as the quarterbacks coach last year by Ohio State, by Ryan Day, a man that Urban hired. Just saying. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, Finebaum has become a mouth. I like it. See, this is what I was talking about when I said that Stephen A. Smith is a trailblazer at ESPN. See, guys like Finebaum have always done this kinda. They've always stayed in their little lane down there in the SEC, and now Finebaum is mouthy. Now Finebaum is trying to be a guy. He's trying to be a real guy. He's trying to adjust with the times. What do I mean by that? Here's what I mean by that. Finebaum is trying to become adversarial much more than ever. He's becoming a mouth. Now, you got to understand, the bookish Heather Dinich look-alike, Finebaum, has never been in a locker room other than to maybe take a peek, maybe get an autograph, maybe take a picture, ask a question. But he knows who should be and who shouldn't be fired because he's Finebaum. People have paid attention to him for the last 20 years after going a lifetime with nobody giving a rat's ass about him. Good for Finebaum. He's adjusting. He's like Krzyzewski at Duke. He adjusted to the times. He continues to pound the table for another man's firing. It's kind of sick, really, and he's going to have to answer for it. But Finebaum continues to pound the table because he does not like Lincoln Riley at USC. Would somebody in California explain to me why Lincoln Riley, as of almost noon, is still the head coach at Southern Cal? See, this is just evil. Now, it really is. I mean, Lincoln Riley, I'm guessing, has worked his nutsack off at USC. I'm guessing Lincoln Riley has worked far harder at his craft than Finebaum, excuse me, John Feinstein was on my mind, had at his craft. So Finebaum now wants a guy fired. I hate that kind of stuff. The bookish Heather Dinich look-alike, I already threw that in. If you put Heather Dinich next to Finebaum, they do look alike. Anyway, what has he done? He had one season with Caleb Williams. Last year, I thought that was a disaster. But then again, I forgot about this season. I was wondering early in the year, maybe someone in the NFL would hire him. But hire him as what? I mean, maybe a coordinator. I think he has completely outlived his usefulness at USC. Shouldn't be there any longer. Listen, I know I get accused of calling for coaches' firings all the time. I really don't. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do, and it's sick. I mean, anybody that would call for your firing, you would run up and down, stand on your head, shit snowballs, and cry like a little biatch. Mom, come on, Paul. I mean, damn, dudes have families. You get fired, you got to move people. You got to move kids out of schools. You're an idiot for doing this, Paul. You are. Listen, I know I get accused of calling for coaches' firings all the time. I really don't. But in this case, I think it's legit because USC is one of the golden names in college football, and now it's becoming a laughingstock. Yeah, kiss my ass, Finebaum. I like Finebaum. I used to go on his show, always treated him nice. But it's bullshit that he sits there with his dumb ass behind a desk calling for people to get fired. I will call for people to get fired if they get caught doing a couple things, stealing money or having sex with folks they're not supposed to have. By the way, side note, anytime you see the local high school coach get fired and they don't say why, it's one of those two things. Trust me on this. Always is. I mean, I've been watching this since I was 10, when my dad had to fire some dudes at Calumet High School for just that very thing. Anyway, oh, please, God, no. Please, God, no. Don't ruin my Christmas. Actually, I could care less. Netflix is eyeing our girl, Mina Kimes, NFL analyst, DEI hire extraordinaire, America's millennial. Mina Kimes, check notes. See, I did what she did, check notes. Yeah, I got all that millennial talk. They want to put her on their show at Christmas. Oh, no. A Christmas Day doubleheader. Netflix reportedly paid $150 million for a pair of NFL games to occur on the holiday. Note to Netflix, you F this up, we're throwing hands. No, at Netflix, you F that whole fight up. You did. You sucked at the teat. You sucked bad, Netflix. Now, I don't care if you put the Grinch on there. I don't care whether Mina Kimes and her dumbass goes on there. I don't care even a little bit. Doesn't matter to me who you put on there. But that thing better not freeze as the ball is in the air and the guy's ready to make a catch. Because it kept freezing as there was a punch being thrown. No, you stop right now. No, you stop. Stop it. I don't care if you put Mina Kimes' dumbass. I get it. You got to have diversity. She's the queen of diversity. Little Asian girl. Speaks millennial. Has all those checked notes. Full stop. Hard no. I don't care. But don't make that thing freeze. I got money on the games, pal. So do whatever you need. While the deal hasn't been finalized, sources say ESPN would give Kimes the network blessing if it's something she wants to do. Oh, man. The Post previously reported Netflix is targeting the complete idiot Kay Adams, and very difficult to work with, I'm told, to host a studio coverage of the doubleheader. Whatever Netflix does, whoever they put on there, even Mina Kimes, even Kay Adams, it will not be as bad as watching big fat Andrew Whitworth, drunken and arrested Richard Sherman, and whatever that thing is, Fitzmagic, along with Clarissa Thompson. It will never be that bad. Maybe that's just me. I don't want anybody fired. In fact, I want the Amazon or whatever it is, Amazon Prime set, to get an extension because they suck. They suck so bad, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch the pandering. I mean, Marshawn Lynch has flipped cars. He's a drunk slob, but because, well, you know, he's got to be on our TV. Richard Sherman breaks into his mother's house drunk half the time. I mean, and he's got to be on our TV. It's pretty funny. I told a woman I wouldn't go at it, quote, in a pool with her because she wasn't my wife. 15 phone calls, 3 national articles later. What are you going to do? I'm on one today. I had a good night last night. Lost some money gambling. My son's team lost, but I don't know. I felt good today. Tennis legend Martina Navratilova is a long time left-wing Democrat. There is one issue where she differs from the party: transgender athletes in women's sports. She called out the left-wing crazy people, the nut jobs, for their stance on men participating in women's sports. May I say it again? I have the answer. I am all-inclusive. I am a man of the people. You're a chick transitioning to a dude, play against the dudes. You're a dude transitioning to the chicks, play against the dudes. Simple. Go ahead, Martina. Let me know. Oh, and I'm so mad that the Republicans captured this issue. Shame on all the elected Democrats who kept silent on this. Gays Against Groomers, which is a pretty good Twitter handle site. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us, Nancy Mace. We are so appreciative of your bold stance against gender ideology. We actually have people that go on television and say that 2-year-olds know what sex they are. Man, we got some sick people. Let me tell you something. If you cut off a 2-year-old's pee-pee to make him a chick, I say your pee-pee gets cut off. Simple. While President-elect Donald Trump has vowed to ban biological males from women's sports, the Biden administration has generally stayed quiet on the issue as it relates to sports. Why? Because they pander. They lie, they pander. That's all they do. You can't tell me that going way back, that fraud that is Joe Biden, while he was setting up the crime family, if somebody would have said, yo, chicks having to play against dudes in chick sports, thoughts, Biden, he'd have got off the babysitter and said, yeah, can't happen. I'm just saying. Well, the Biden President-elect Donald Trump has vowed to ban biological males from women's sports. The Biden administration has stayed silent, quiet on the issue as it relates to sports. While the Title IX rewrite changed sex to gender identity, how stupid is that? Didn't specifically refer to sports. Why? Because Democrats know that the vast majority of Americans do not want transgender athletes in women's sports. Jesus. It's a losing issue. In this case, common sense reigns. So Democrats stay quiet about it. Why don't they speak out against it? Well, they don't want to upset the radical wing of the party and the trans media. Martina Navratilova is tired of that. Good for her. Speaking of that, the USGA, the United States Golf Association, and the LPGA, the Ladies Professional Golf Association, announced Wednesday that the majority of biological males, transgender athletes, will no longer be allowed to compete in women's golf events starting next year. Good. With the new guidelines in place, Davidson, who is a dude playing as a woman, who did not transition until Davidson was around 20, is not eligible to compete on the LPGA or Epson tours. Go play with the men. Nobody's saying you can't play in tournament golf. Go play with the men. See how you do. Davidson weighed in on Instagram and complained that silence caused the LPGA and USGA to enact a common sense policy. Can't say I didn't see this coming, Davidson wrote. All the silence and people wanted to stay neutral. Thanks for absolutely nothing. This happened because of all your silence. Good, stay silent then. Davidson, baby, I'm with you. I mean, I am so for you. All you got to do is take whatever is between your legs and go play on a men's tour. Go try to make it. There's all kind of, there's Corn Fair, there's European, there's DP, there's all kind of tours. Give it a swing. Swing that big Schwanz of yours around and try to make it on the men's tour. I am open. I am America's most open and inclusive human being. I really am. I'm proud of myself for this stance. I am. I'm not silent. I'm not. I'm loud. I'm proud. See what I did there? Yeah. Here's the deal. I am loud, I am proud, and I am very open to everything except men playing in women's sports. Play with the dudes. Simple. Very, very simple. Hey, man, this ain't good news. I don't know. Trevor Lawrence needs surgery after the illegal hit by the clown. And he put himself out there as a clown or a joker or a villain. Aziz Al-Shaair in need to repair an AC joint in his left shoulder, according to NFL.com. You remember the hit. Trevor Lawrence was sliding feet first, which is a no-hit zone for NFL players, and this guy, Aziz Al-Shaair, came flying in, shoo, elbow and head first, and intentionally knocked Trevor Lawrence the hell out. Now, his peeps defended him, his coach, his general manager, and they looked like idiots doing it. So good for them. Good for them. They look like idiots doing it, and frankly, I'm glad that the dude got suspended. Since Trevor Lawrence is going to be out for the year, I believe, yes, I do, I believe that, wait for it, what's his name? Aziz Al-Shaair should be out for the rest of the year as well. If, in fact, Trevor Lawrence is still bothered by it next year, I believe, what's his name? Should be out for the year as well. That's just my thought.